And here we are. So Ibrahim, you can lower your hand if you're done with your question. Sean, you had a quick question?
For me on the MacBook, all I do is just swipe on the mouse pad. And
Correct.
I'm using Zoom on my phone, so I don't need
Perfect.
anything.
Thank you. You can lower your hand now. So let's go back to our code, and I'll explain some of this. Now, I might explain more now than later. That's going to be in the slides. I'm not going to go into all of the detail, but what I'd like you to know is that this is simply a variable. Radius is a variable. Area is a variable. What is a variable? It's something that can change. It's something that we give it the value of 10 here on line 2, and then later we can redo it. So for example, don't do this in your code, but just follow me. I'm going to copy all of these lines of code, all of them. I'm going to copy them. And then after line 9, I'm going to hit enter, enter, and I'm going to paste those lines of code. So what's going to happen on line 2? I'm setting the variable radius to 10. I'm calculating the area, and then I'm printing the area on line 9. Now on line 13, how about I set the radius to something else? How about I set it to 42.789? And then I recalculate the area on line 17. And then on line 20, I print it again. So I'm going to get 2 print statements now. The first one calculated the area as 314. And the second time we calculated the area as being 5,749, right? So it's a variable, which means we can change its contents. Now here's something, this will be covered later in the module, but I'm going to cover it now. When on line 2, where it says radius equals 10. Now you've always been taught in mathematics this is equal, and that is correct. But in fact, for those of you who are in high school, which should be most of us, what is that really doing? If I say, like if you had a math problem and I were to just say, let me come back to the module notes. If I were to say x equals 5, what am I really doing? I'm saving 5 into x, right? If I told you to say x is 5, if we know x is 5, and then I said 2x, plus 10 equals something else with y, 4y minus 8, and I said solve for y. Well, you know that x is 5, and you plug in 5 into here, right? And then you solve for y. Well, my point is that x is 5. You're in your mind, you know that we have this value, this variable x, which we're storing 5 in. Well, that's the same thing in Thani, okay? I want to show you a functionality of Thani, which is very helpful. And that is, let me see, can y'all see the right side of my screen here with the assistant? Here, let me scroll this over. I don't want the assistant, but I would like to view. So I'm going to click on View in my Thani. So File, Edit, View. I click View, and I'm going to click on where it says, where's Variables? Here we are, Variables. And I'm going to close the assistant. So I would like to show you what's really cool here in Thani. If I can do what is called a debugger. Let me first, I'll do a debugger, and actually I'll do a debugger later. I just want to show you that when I run this code, on the right-hand side, I can see that radius is 10 and then area is 314. It's showing me the variables in my program, and it's showing me the values that they have. And if I go paste those lines of code back where I did this twice, it'll show me the final. Let me run this again. Oops, I didn't change it. So what was the radius? We'll change the radius here to be, I think it was 42.789. So it shows me the final value of the radius and the final area. Okay, so there's something very cool in Thani, which makes it a great educational IDE. An IDE is the software or the program you're using to write your code, right? We covered that last time. So there's a great feature called debugging. So it's right next to this green button at the top. Right next to it, if you put your mouse to the right of it, it's another button that says debug current script. And just follow me. Don't do this on your own machine. Follow me. When I run my code, what does it do? It runs the code. When I click the run button, it runs it from line 1 all the way to line 20 in one go. Done. But when I debug my code, it runs it line by line. So I clicked the debug button. Watch. I click the debug button here. and it goes to the first line of executable code. And so it skips line 1 because that was a comment, and it goes to line 2. And it stops here, and it's waiting for me to say, yes, go ahead and execute that line. So there's other options up here where it says step over or step into. And I'm going to click step into, which is really also F7. So if I click step into, it's going to run that line of code, but it's going to look at every single part. So watch, it says, well, I see that there's a 10, and I see you want me to save 10 into radius. And so now it created that variable on the right side of my screen where it says radius. And now when it comes to the next line of code, I click step into, it says, I want you to calculate this 3.14 times radius. It plugs in the value for radius, which is 10. It plugs it in here, which is also 10, and it calculates 314, and it saves it into area. We then print our area. Area is 314. I'm clicking this over and over. If you're wondering, I've probably clicked the step into button maybe 20 times already. Now we again set our radius to 42.789, so it changes on the right side of my screen. Notice under the variable section, the variable for radius changed, and I recalculate my area, so that's going to change now, okay? And now area is going to change on the right side of my screen. And then finally, I print. So this is just a very short demonstration of our debugger in Thani, and it's really, really fantastic. But let's move on. So writing this simple program, we created variables. We took values and we set them into our variables. And here I said that we've learned in mathematics that that's equals, right? And that is correct. But in programming, this is most important here. I'm going to go back to our module notes now because this is so important. So I left the area of a circle program and I came back to the module 2 notes program. I'm going to call it in caps. Assignment, I see you, Mohan. Give me a moment, please. Assignment operator. I put that in caps. Another comment, in programming, the equal sign, but I'm not typing equals, I'm putting the actual sign, is called the, I'm going to close my variables, is called the assignment operator. What you're doing, if I say x equals 2, that when you see the assignment operator, your eyes should look to the right side of that operator, of that equal sign. So we start by looking at the, I know I type faster than probably many of you. We start by looking at the 2. We then save that 2 into the variable on the left side of the assignment operator. Now this is, some of you are thinking, okay, that's like really way too much explanation for something so simple, but you're going to see why this is very important. Because later, because we're not saying that, hey, x is equal to 2, and you'll see why that's important later, because there's a way for checking equality, okay? Does x have the value of 2 inside it if you were trying to see checking for equality? That's different. But here, what we're doing is we're saying this is a command. This right here that I'm highlighting on line 14, that is a command. Take 2 and put it in x. And then later, I could say, you know what? I changed my mind. How about take 97 and put it inside x? Make sure we understand that. And we're going to come back to it in the slides. So that is our assignment operator. And here is the code that we've already covered. So I'm going to go ahead and just trace through this for you. Although, you know what? I'm not going to, because we've already done this. This is just going step by step, which we just did within Thani live. We've covered variables. So as I told y'all, what I'm really doing live for you is I'm covering what's in some of these slides, and then pardon me as I scroll through them, because we've already covered that material. Yes, Mohan, I saw you had your hand up. You've been patient. Go ahead. If you can lower your hand and then ask your question, please.
How do you make it so that you can see the variables on the right side?
Yeah, so you, at the very top of Thani, it says File, then Edit, then View, and I click View, and then you click Variables.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. If you can mute your mic, please. Okay, so this was everything we've covered. So here, what I'd like to do is, this should be easy. I want y'all to do this program, but I don't want you to start yet, because I'm going to do something cool that we've not tried yet. I would like you to all solve this program, but I'm going to break you into groups. So I want you to make a new program. I want you to have you're basically going to convert from miles into kilometers, or is it kilometers into miles? Use a variable named miles with an initial value of 100. And bear with me, I was unable to see because I had to move this. Oh no, there we go. Use a variable miles with an initial value of 100. If you convert miles to kilometers, to do so, you multiply it times 1.609. So you need a new variable called kilometers. And then you need to display that value of kilometers. So it's really the exact same 3 steps. So it should be easy for most of you to do, but this is going to be a first program that you're doing on your own. And so I want you all to do this in groups. So I don't know if we tested this last time. I think we did not, or I don't actually remember. So don't start coding this yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a really cool functionality of Zoom, where I'm going to send you into what is called breakout rooms. And you'll each have like 3 or 4 of you in a room. And in that room, I would like for one person to share their screen. Just you choose one person to share their screen who can speak and then code up the solution. And everyone else in that room everyone should have their microphones unmuted, because I want you all to talk about the solution, make sure you all agree upon the solution. You're coming to a group solution for your respective groups. So when I do the breakout rooms, which I have not done yet, but I'm setting it up. So here I'm going to have 5 rooms of 4 to 5 of you. Some rooms will have 4, other rooms will have 5. When I hit go, what's going to happen is you're going to get a message saying that the host is requesting you to join a breakout room. Hit accept, and you're going to leave this main room, and it's going to bring you to a breakout room. What I'm going to then do is I'm going to go into, and I'm going to go visit y'all individually in those breakout rooms just to see how y'all are doing. It should only take about 3 minutes, but it's a little fun exercise. So here we go. So I see here in this room, there's still 2. It says Imran and Mariam. Make sure you join your breakout rooms, please.
I'm talking.
So pardon
Yeah.
me. So one of y'all should be sharing your screen and coding it, while other people are all unmuted as well. So let's do this quickly if we can.
I'm using the phone, so it's impossible.
Yeah, I can't
Hello?
screen share.
Anybody? No.
Yes, we can hear
Somebody?
you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Y'all can hear me?
Yes. Okay,
Who's going to share their screen?
definitely not me because I lost the page.
Oh
can
my
do it.
I
God.
can't. Yeah, I can't because I'm using my iPad. So.
I got it.
I'm using my phone. Thank you, man.
So
I can see
Ibrahim,
this.
yes.
Well,
All right, so it was miles.
So, so first of all, you need to make a new program.
Okay, that's the
yeah,
wrong
yeah, new program.
You need to make a new program called miles to kilometers, for example. All right, I'm gonna go visit another room, see how they're doing. But talk it through. Ibrahim, you asked them to give you the solution. But started by making the recipe.
So,
So for the second line, it should be kilometers that is equal to kilometers.
Okay.
Because you have to assign,
Like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then the second line would be, so you'd have print and then you'd
And
have kilometers equals because that would be what you're printing. And then the comma and then kilometers so that you're putting that whatever that equals there.
So great job. And let me encourage y'all to, keep referencing. You're doing the right thing to where you're clicking area of a circle and you're going back like that program you already have typed. It's really the same exact program. So go back and forth between those two. And notice how on line 2 of area of a circle, it says area equals. So the thing, what we're calculating is on the right of the assignment.
okay.
And we're saving it to the left. So notice that variable area is on the left of the assignment operator, on the left of that equals. So now look, compare that to what you've done now on the new program. Kilometers should be on the left side of the equals.
Okay.
And then and then the miles times 1.609 is going to be on the right. Perfect. Y'all doing a great job. So everyone should be chatting this through. Mariam, Justin, are y'all chatting as well?
Yeah.
Chloe, great job. Pardon the intrusion, just following along. So if y'all can actually print that as a full statement, kind of like what you did with area of a circle.
Oh, of course.
So if you can say like the kilometers are and print it, that looks great. I'm gonna go check out the other rooms real quick.
All right, cool.
Hola.
Hello.
Hello.
Pardon the intrusion. Y'all doing
Yep.
great. So you're
So I
done
just
already,
have it right
huh?
here. Yep.
Yeah, we were just talking.
Nicely done. I'm gonna go visit another room, and as I said, this will be pretty quick.
Alrighty.
Nicely done. Nicely done. It looks like y'all have successfully finished that one. Cool. I'm going to go check out the final room, and then I'll pull everyone back into the, actually, you know what? I think we are, in fact, done.
Nice.
So I'm going to go close all of the rooms, and everyone's going to get a message to come back to the main room. Okay, so that was kind of cool. I don't remember if we did that last time, but this was the first time that we broke out, I believe, into sessions and at least solved the problem. And we still have a few participants who are in their group because you have 60 seconds to officially come back to the main one. Otherwise, it'll kick you out. So what I'd like to do is any one of you, if you can just raise your hand, if you're willing to share your screen and show us your solution. So Leighton, if you don't mind, if you can do that. I'm looking at the list that popped up. Leighton, if you can share your screen for us, I'll stop my share. Any comments you want to give, Leighton? I know it's pretty self-explanatory. Leighton, do you have a microphone?
Yeah, no, there's nothing I really have to say.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. So I mean, I went into every group and every group had solved it correctly. So I'll just I'll give a thumbs up, or wait. The best part, I can come annotate this, and I can stamp it with a check mark. Great job. And I can also put some hearts. Okay, great job. So I'm gonna hit stop the sharing. Great. So that's a pretty easy exercise. But what's nice there is what did we do? I solved a problem for you, right? And then I gave you all a problem to solve, which was really the exact same format. So what I saw many of you doing, which was correct, you were saying, okay, well, how do I do that? So first, of course, you should have made a new program. So file new, Control S. I'm going to save it. I'm going to call it miles to km. And I would have encouraged you to write the similar recipe. So here I'm copy pasting, just being lazy. Will I need a lot of this? I don't know. So get or set the miles. So I'm going to say here miles equals 100. Compute the kilometers. So I'm going to say km equals 1.609 times miles, and then print the result. Miles, no, sorry, km colon space, for example. Or km is, and then km. So what I saw many of you do was this exact same thing, where you started from your example of the circle, and then you simply used that to make your miles to kilometers. And that's smart. That's exactly what you should have done. Okay. And if I were to say, calculate the area of a square, that would be the exact same thing. Well, you would get the length and the width of the square. You would then compute the area, and then you'd print the results. It's the exact same process and the exact same program over and over. So small one, small example, great job. So here's what's new for us. That's not the most exciting because we're not interacting with the user. So let's talk about how we can actually interact with the user. I'm going to go back to our module 2 notes. Interacting with the user is as follows. So I'm putting a comment, reading input from users. We do this using the input function. So just check this out. I'm going to say name equals input. Please enter your name. Okay. And then I can print afterwards, hi, nice to meet you, comma, name. And let's see what happens when I run that. I guess all of this output is from earlier in the program. So please enter your name, and I say my name is, pick a new name, Joshua. Hi, nice to meet you, Joshua. Right? So now we're interacting with the program. Whenever you use this input command, what happens is the program stops, and it basically is waiting for the user to type something in the keyboard and then hit the enter button. Okay, so here, now we're expecting the user puts in correct information. Please enter your name. If they were to come put in numbers, well, it's going to say, hi, nice to meet you, numbers, which doesn't make any sense, right? But assuming the user put the correct information, please enter your name, and someone types in, I'm looking at the names here, Farha. Hi, nice to meet you, Farha. So once you learn this, now we can interact with the program, which allows us to have a little bit more engagement, even though we're all still newbies. Let me see, I need to open up my participants, make sure no one's not raising hand. Sean, you have a question?
I forgot.
No issue.
Sorry.
If you can lower your hand then, please. And I do have a reminder in the chat about Replit. Hopefully that reminder can come again from anyone in maybe like 20 minutes. I think I'm going to remember, but it would be great. I appreciate the reminder. So let's continue. So now that we can do this, how can we read in? So let me explain. This is very important. How about I say, let's ask the user, please enter in an integer value. So if I were to say x equals input, please enter an integer value, which is a whole number, like 7, right? So 7.4, I hope you know, is not an integer. It's a real number. So please enter an integer value. And what if I wanted to add that value to something? What if I wanted to say print, x or x, I want to divide that value by something, x divided by, 5. So just for example, just follow me along. If I run this, please enter your name, Joshua again. Please enter an integer value. So let's say the user enters 10. And we can see here on line 30, we're going to take that value 10, we're going to scan it from the user, and we're going to assign it, because remember, what is this called? I'm going to ask you over and over. This is called assignment. We're going to assign this into X, meaning we're going to save that value of 10 into X. And then we want to print 10 divided by 5. Now, can someone type in the chat what we're expecting as an answer? Of course, we would expect 2, because we're new programmers. It makes sense that we should get 2. So when I run this, when I hit enter here and I run it, I get an error. And that's not what I expected. Well, why is that? This is very important here, and I haven't even explained input in detail. So why is that? Is because input is a command that reads from the keyboard, and it interprets what it reads as just text. I'm going to say that again. I'm going to put this as a comment. Input is a command that reads from the keyboard, okay? And it interprets user input as text. So if a user, I'll put here as a comment, if a user types a number, that number is not understood as a number. It's understood as basic text. And I only have 10 minutes left as basic text. So here, when the user enters the number, it's only understood as basic text. So what's really happening is, even though you're entering 10 and we're wanting to print 10 divided by 10 divided by 2, okay? We're trying to print 10 divided by 2. Oh no, did I start recording? Okay, I did start recording, good. We're trying to print 10 divided by 2. So we should get 5, right? So if I get rid of this and I run this, I would get 5. I'm sorry, I would 10 divided by 2 or 10 divided by 5, I would get 2. So now what do I do? Okay, so how do I actually correct this? Because it's not actually, when I run the program, as we did, enter your name and then enter an integer value, 10. I'm expecting when I enter that 10, it's going to divide it by 5 and give me a 2, but it's not. Because what's really happening is we're really having 10 as text divided by 2. We're not actually, so if I were to, here, let me make a new program for you and hit save. And I always have a program that I call garbage. So I would encourage y'all to do the same. I actually have a program that I call garbage, just to put garbage in. I'm looking at the text. Why is there F in the text? I don't understand. Should I be following something here? I don't know. So here in my garbage program, if I print 10 divided by 5, I'm going to get 2, no issue. Okay? If I print 10 in quotations divided by 5, that's different. That's going to give me an error. The computer does not see this as the number 10. It sees it as the character 1 followed by the character 0. It doesn't see it as a number. Why? Because it is inside quotations. So we cannot print this string divided by 5, okay? This is very, very important. We can't print this string divided by 5, but I can print 10 divided by 5, because that's now a number. So going back to our Module 2 notes, what does that mean? Thank you in the chat, because yes, people are supposed to be paying attention instead of chatting. So what does that mean? That means that, because when we read input, it's a command that reads text. It does not read a number, it reads a text. Now, because we know that we're asking the user to enter a number, Let's assume the user is going to follow directions, which many users do not do. But let's assume the user is going to follow directions. Watch what I do here on line 30. Before the word input, I'm going to type the word eval, which stands for evaluate. Then I put a left parenthesis, and all the way at the end of that same line, I'm going to put a close parenthesis. So follow this here. Look at line 30. What I'm saying, I have the start from the inside. So we work inside out. So I have this first command input, which says, please enter an integer value. So if the user enters 10, the result of this, all of that right here that I've highlighted, that will turn into, I'm going to highlight it again, all of that will turn into 10. And then when I say eval, which means evaluate, then at that point, the computer, Python, the interpreter, will take that 10 as text and will say, you know what, since the programmer typed the word evaluate, eval, it wants me to understand that as a number. And so what is stored inside X on line 30 is no longer the string of text 1 followed by a 0. It's now an actual number 10. So here, if I run this again, please enter an integer value, and I type 10, it's now going to work. And we're going to get our answer of 2.0 because I used input and then I have eval. And I see that we have 5 minutes left. And so I'd like to go ahead and go to, I can keep going, but I know that I don't want to oppress, as I mentioned. So let's see where we were. I've covered this. You need to go read these things in the slides. How can we now change our program? So how about we come to this area of a circle? Just follow me here, and you can review this later and watch this again. So I'm going to copy all of these lines of code on area of a circle, copy, file, new, and I'm going to hit save, and I'm going to call it area of a circle 2. I'm going to change it from 1 to 2, and I'm going to paste. So now, instead of setting it, the radius to just 10, I'm going to get the radius. I'm going to say radius equals eval input. Please enter a value for radius, colon, space, equals, quotation. Okay. Please enter a value for radius. Then I compute the area, and then I calculate the area. I compute the area, and then I print the area. So watch what happens here. Please enter a value for radius. I put 10. The answer is 314. I run it again. Please enter the value for radius. I put 27. We get a different area. Run it again. Please enter the value for radius. 5. Pi times 5 times 5. I get 78.5. So by using input and by using eval, we're able to communicate and interact with our programs. So you know what? I'm going to, let's see where we are in the module, compute the area. We just did that. That was very quick. I would do compute the average of 3 numbers next time. And so I'd like to go to, with our whopping 3 minutes left, let's see how quickly I can do this. I'm going to hit stop share, and I'm going to pull up Replit. My REPLs, bear with me as I do something on my screen. Teacher, Python Bootcamp, invite. Okay, so in Slack, I am posting at channel. Here is our Replit invitation. Send. And so click that link in the channel to be able to join Replit. This is our Replit class to enroll in online. And this, unfortunately, we may not have enough time. Let me go back to the screen share and see where we're at time-wise. So we have 2 minutes left. Let's see how quickly y'all can do this in 2 minutes. So in Slack, I posted a link that you should click on. And upon clicking on it, so you can view my screen, when you click on it, it's going to ask you to sign up. I would say use your Gmail or whatever account, but if you have to put an email and everything, then do that. So sign up for that. And when you do so, it's going to, once you're signed in as a student, it's going to bring you to the particular Python bootcamp, which is, you should come to this screen, and you're going to see there are 5 problems for you to do. And some of you are still signing up, but I see I have a minute and a half left in this video. So I'm going to go solve lab 0 problem 1 in the next minute and 20 seconds, so then you can see this later. I would actually encourage you, all of you, stop signing up. Just fully stop. I can see that you're not looking because you're looking at your laptops. Look at the screen and follow me here in the next minute before this kicks us out. So, and then you can sign up afterwards. So once you sign in, you should get to these problems that are going to be for you to practice on right now. It's only, what, 5 problems. I click on lab 0 problem 1. It's a very simple one. It says write a single line of code that produces the following output exactly. So over on the left side of the screen is where you write your code. Print hello world. I'm giving you the solution. And I'm not going to put the exclamation point. Notice it says exactly with the exclamation point. I'm not going to put that intentionally. So I hit run to test it. It worked. You can see down below, it worked. So now in the upper right, I click the submit button. And it says mismatch, of course, because I did not put the exclamation point. And it says teacher expected to see this. Your output was this. And I'll click the keep trying button. And then I realized, you know what? I forgot the exclamation point. I put that back. I hit run to test it first. It does work. There we go. And then I hit submit again. It worked. So I'm